Hey everybody, CoinWeek editor Charles Morgan here. Pardon my mess, my dust. It's been a busy week for us. Been traveling. I went to Washington D.C. to the United States Mint conference, and that's what we'll talk about today. And I've been busy to the last very possible minute trying to get my manuscript ready for a book that I'm turning over to Women Publishing, which I have never really publicly talked about. Hopefully, it all works out. And we will have in the next, I don't know, 6 months or so, a book for you. Hubert Walker and I wrote called 100 Greatest Modern World Coins. And it's part of their series. We spent quite a bit of time on it. Picked 100 coins starting in 1900. Most of them are pre-World War II, but a few of them are more recent. And so it'll be very exciting to have that out. Hopefully, we do a good enough job that there isn't a mistake on every page, and we get to hear about it. Yes, thank you for the beard. When I'm working from home and I'm really busy, I don't shave as much as I usually do when I travel. So anyway, the Mint Forum, the only thing really cool in our swag bag, we got this big swag bag filled with marketing materials and posters, and or not posters, but postcards and brochures and stuff. But they did manage to give us this. This is a $1 Federal Reserve note that was signed by Jovita Carranza, the Treasurer of the United States. So this sort of made up for the $16 in parking and $10 for lunch I had to buy. Not quite. This is the third year the Mint's had a Mint Forum. The point of it was to get stakeholders to come to the Mint to feed them ideas so they could execute on those ideas and make more money for the Mint, and also to hopefully promote the hobby. The first one was held in Philadelphia in 2016. That was pretty much an open sort of forum where people in our industry could talk to the Mint, share with them ideas, things that they could implement that would improve our quality of life. I usually go to these functions and I try to stand up for the collectors and for the hobby. I know exactly like what goes on with mint products when they have low mintages, they put things out. The industry has several bigger companies that swoop in. They get a lot of the product and they market it for premiums, and they create a short-term bubble. And there are a lot of collectors who try to log on to the Mint site. It used to crash all the time when these things would come out, and they would be left out in the dark and or in the cold. And if they wanted the coins, they'd have to buy them at a premium. And it was basically a two-tier marketplace. Of course, the biggest excess of that we saw was probably the Baseball Hall of Fame coins, and then later that year, the Kennedy gold coin, which sort of was a fiasco when you think about it. This was a coin that had sort of an open mintage, but was sold for a very big premium at the initial release, and then those premiums crashed because, of course, you could continue to buy the coins from the Mint. And some people who market these coins really had a problem with that because they felt like, well, how are we supposed to make a secondary market if the coins are made forever? There's no scarcity. On the other hand, collectors were basically outraged that some of these coins would come out and they would have no shot at them. And so the Mint, I mean, believe it or not, the Mint kind of understands the give and take there. The Mint isn't trying to play favorites. I think by law they can't play favorites and give special access to major dealers as opposed to coin collectors who would call in. For the industry works around this. They find ways to maybe use their mailing list as a tool to get their customers to buy the coins and then sell the coins for a small profit for the customer to the company, so the company can consolidate the product and market it with bigger volumes. That's the way they get around household limits. But for the most part, you're dealing with an industry that sometimes has similar goals to the Mint and sometimes does not. Last year, 2017 version of it, was more of an instance where the Mint was doing a sort of a top-down method, telling us everything they wanted to do or were going to do, basically what they were going to do. They weren't asking permission or anything. They're essentially dictating the terms of our existence as coin dealers and coin publishers, writers in the hobby. They revealed that they had a very sophisticated marketing operation, which, despite the fact that they don't spend a lot of money promoting trade publications, I mean, if you notice, the Mint doesn't advertise on CoinWeek. They probably don't advertise that much anywhere in our hobby publications. They do, however, take a lot of revenue from the industry on the coins they make. They sell the coins for a pretty good premium. And what they do is they take resources away from small, medium, large coin dealers, and they take that revenue on their premiums, and then the hobby, or the industry, in order to exist in a good place, is forced to capitalize these coins when they're sold. So you go to a dealer and you say, well, I bought these 10 Mint products and I'd like to sell them. The dealer is, in some respects, obligated to offer you something for those coins, even if they aren't coins that the dealer would normally sell a lot of, because if you are told no, they're not worth anything except for maybe melt, then you have a bad experience. Maybe you stop buying coins, maybe you don't buy coins from the dealer, and it hurts the hobby. So this year, the Mint was basically showing off a few things. A marketing angle it's going to have with these cartoon characters called the Mighty Minters, as the Mint is trying to corral younger collectors into the hobby. I hope somebody from the Mint might watch this stream. After the conference, I actually had an idea. As much as they're trying to, I suggested that they turn their cartoon characters into real legitimate cartoons, and pointed out that in the 1980s, cartoons sold My Little Ponies, they sold Care Bears, they sold Transformers, G.I. Joes, you name it. Cartoons were something that toy companies used quite successfully to make billions of dollars selling toys to children. And if the Mint is going to invest the money into cartoon characters, it only makes sense for them to make cartoons and not necessarily put them on television. I don't know if that would ever work, but at least create a YouTube presence for them, and not have the cartoons be about buying the Mint's products, but more or less about money, coins, problem solving, or whatever, and make the kids kind of smart alecky and memorable, so that children might actually want to see them. The only way it's going to work, otherwise it's just like graphics on a piece of paper, which a child isn't buying something online, a parent or a grandparent is, and it really doesn't have any relevance. One of the ideas I would have for the Mint, though, because basically every elementary school across the country has to teach children how to count money, and they usually use play money, okay, which children don't remember because it's just plastic. Maybe the Mint should have a program where they work with schools across the country to actually get their coins into the schools, and that the children get to keep the coins. I think that, however they work that out, would probably be more beneficial in the long run for them to develop a relationship with children and coins. Something else, we had discussion groups, breakout groups where we worked. There were about 70 or 80 people in attendance, and many of these people who were in attendance were industry leaders. You're talking about major coin dealers, officials at like the ANA. There are many people who worked for major publications that you might read. We are obligated by the rules of the forum not to attribute any comments or positions to anybody in attendance, although everything the Mint proposed was on the record. So I'm not going to name names, say this person suggested this or this person suggested that, but I will say a few of the things we did talk about the breakout session. The Mint is looking at what they did with the 1996 Mint set, where they provided the W Mint dime, and they're trying to come up with an idea. Callan, I can't tell you who from the ANA was there, buddy, I'm sorry. They were trying to come up with some freemium idea, some value-added thing that they could put in that would be free. The Mint liked the idea of the 1996 Mint set, and they were suggesting that, if you look at the 95 or the 97 set, that the 96 set was worth $20 and the other sets were worth $4 or $5. I try to disabuse them of this notion because the 1996 Mint set certainly is not worth $20. I took an informal poll of a few of the major dealers in the room, and I asked them, hey, what would you pay for a 96 Mint set if it came through the door? The best price I got was $7. And so then I went to the Mint and I said, listen, the Mint marketing people, I said, listen, that's the value of the 96 set. It's basically the 95 set or the 97 set, and the dime is worth a few dollars. And it's not worth $20. It's not this great home run. But the idea of having something free is a good idea, I think. And again, so my goal in this environment is to give them an idea to help them create something that would grow enthusiasm and buzz to help them sell coins. So you may not like my idea, but here it was. Somebody in the room was saying, well, why don't you put together like a special mint set product that they could buy multiple products, and the initial idea was multiple of the same products, and derive and build up this other thing. I tried to squash that idea right away. I think it's a bad idea to have like a proof set where you get an extra coin and you have to buy 5 proof sets to have the chance to get like the whole extra set. I said better to have an extra coin for 5 or 6 different products, and that if you buy the 5 or 6 different products throughout the year, you get this third set. Like for instance, let's just say it's let's say a mint set, right? So you have the P and the D that come with the mint set. Well, let's just say it would come with a bonus S mint $0.50 and uncirculated. And then if you buy the proof set, you get S mint the quarter set, S mint quarter set, mint state as an add-on. And then if you buy this product or that product up to however many products you need, you get the S-Mint coin, and then ultimately you build an S-Mint set that's only available by buying these different SKUs. This was the idea I gave them. I said that would be much more effective than just making somebody buy multiple examples of the same thing throughout the year to get the free thing. Keep in mind, the whole idea is to make it free, although the reality is collectors will want this thing. They will feel like they'll be left out if they don't have it. One of the ideas the Mint marketing people came up with was, what if we don't tie it to a product? You just place an order and you get the free thing. And I told them that would be a terrible idea. People would be placing 15 orders to get 15 free things as opposed to 1 order or 15 things. Also, what's to stop them from keeping the free thing and sending the other things back? It would be a giant logistical nightmare. And I felt like they'd be better off adding value to their product lineup by adding these things. Something else I gave them. I told them that the 1995 W Silver Eagle is one of the most important coins that they put out in the last 30 years. And I said you have to look at the mintage of that coin and understand what you're dealing with is the mint has the ability to make the 1995 W no longer the key date. What I suggested they do is every few years or come up with a product that would be a premium product that would include a slightly rarer Silver Eagle in proof, and that way it would build buzz. It would last for several years. It would rejuvenate the series, and therefore you could bring more people into the hobby and get them more excited. If you look at like how excited people were in 2011 and with the 20th anniversary set. 2016 with the 25th anniversary set, people were very enthusiastic and excited about these products. And then my idea is, well, let's just put a little bit downward pressure on that 95W. I think it's too expensive to begin with, but let's create something that people could argue is the key date, and let people be excited about that. Like, why should the key date only be in the past? Why can't we have new key dates and things like that? So that's another idea I gave them. I also brought up the point that the entire U.S. coin series needs an overhaul, a design overhaul. I said one of the biggest detriments to collecting coins and albums or boards is that the U.S. coin series are way too long. They're stagnant. They're stale. It's an imperial coinage. Nobody is going to say that Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln deserve to be taken off the coins, which is a problem. And that if you look at the past, we had new coin designs pretty much every generation or so. Even the most famous, most iconic coin designs only lasted for about a generation. And I think that we should go back to changing coin designs every generation or so, because once you end the Lincoln Cent series, I mean, it's already a popular series, mostly because of the transition from wheat to memorial in 1959. I think if that didn't happen, the series wouldn't be nearly as popular as it is. But once that series is gone, then people start to collect. More people would collect them because they would say, oh, it's no longer here. Do that to all of them. They all need to go. In fact, actually, not only do they all need to go, but probably the penny and the nickel need to go, and higher denomination coins beyond $1 need to be made, and the 50-cent coin needs to be resized. So the entire thing needs to be overhauled, and the Mint should work with the Treasury Department and Congress to figure out a way to modernize their coins. These are all things that were brought up. I was not the only person to bring this up. Again, I can't name names, but some very influential, very prominent people in the industry were in the position that the designs need to be changed, and that the Mint should be working with Congress and the Treasury to make it happen. The Mint is going to return, I guess, they're going to create a series of 2.5-ounce silver medals. I think this is a great idea. I like the idea of having silver medals and to complement the bronze medals that the Mint puts out. I think silver medals with a limited edition number would find a fairly robust market. Not as big as the coin market, but it would give collectors something else, a different look. The Mint has a little bit more control over the design of medals than they do over on the coin side. And I just think that the medals that typically they put out are more attractive. I wish the presidential medals that they're putting out were larger than the 1-ounce Silver Eagle blanks they're using. I think medals should be bigger and chunkier, and I wish that was the case. But other medals that are going to be coming out are going to be larger. I welcome that idea. The other thing the Mint is working on. They are working on the Apollo 11 coins that are going to come out next year. That's going to be a huge hit. It's going to be, it's going to be a very prominent coin series. You can get a lot of national media attention. People love NASA. People love astronauts. These coins are the second set of dome-shaped coins the Mint's put out. And I think it's going to be really well received. The Mint understands that the last few years their commemorative coin programs have not been as exciting. I don't think the breast cancer awareness coin series is selling well at all. Big surprise there. We've just had these sort of like minor commemorative issues. There's not really much you can do with the designs. Of course, Congress is telling you everything. The Mints also went back to the drawing board to try to reform the American Innovator coin design that is going to be due out by the end of the year. The design the CCAC looked at was a complete abomination, total slapdash design. They have to work with Congress. Congress says put George Washington's signature on the reverse. Put the Statue of Liberty on the obverse. I don't agree with them taking Don Everhart's presidential dollar design and reusing it. It doesn't look right. I think it's just a bad way to start a program. But if you look at the new Mint director, he comes on board. The first coin he has to put out is this terrible, ill-conceived concept, and then he's hamstrung with a 14-year-long series of golden dollars that nobody's really going to be all that interested in. The concept of American innovation, I don't really understand what they were thinking to do yet another state quarter type series. But this is where we're at. American Legion is going to be the other commemorative for 2019. In case you're wondering, I do think, as much as I typically don't like the America the Beautiful quarter designs, I do think that the CCAC got it right. 2019's designs are probably the best of the series. That isn't really saying a whole lot. My overall feeling about the Mint and where things are heading. They revealed one thing that I thought was pretty startling. In 1992, they had 2 million customers. I think in the last year, the number of customers who were buying coins from the Mint was about 500,000. One of the reasons for this, I blame it, is not that younger people aren't into coins. I've never believed that. It's not that people know that mint products don't go up in value or any of that kind of thing. I think it's that they didn't advertise. They just have not been investing the money in advertising. And I think a lot of their customers are legacy customers from when they used to advertise before the state quarter series or around that time. People who've basically been with the Mint for 20 years, long-term customers. And I think what you're seeing is the result of this major coin dealer cutting back on media awareness and making people excited about their coins. The Mint doesn't do. I mean, the Mint does a Flickr account, and they do a few things on social media, and I think they try in earnest to put good information out. But the Mint isn't aggressive and like being involved in every story. If you remember a few years ago when we had that debt ceiling fight in Congress, there was some ridiculous notion that there was some loophole in some coinage legislation that would allow the Mint to create $1 trillion coin, that they could stamp this coin in precious metal, platinum or something like that, and then that would like be able to fund the government. It was just the stupidest concept you could imagine. But an aggressive marketing department at the Mint would have seized the opportunity to discuss how much platinum it would take for them to make it, and how much the press would cost. I mean, obviously the platinum coin could be any size. There's no law that says $1 trillion coin has to have $1 trillion worth of platinum in it. But they could have seized the moment. They could have gotten a lot of publicity, earned publicity from it. And one of the things that I brought up, and actually somebody else in the audience brought up, is that the Mint should use their ability to create bullion coins outside of the purview of Congress, and create larger coins, like kilo gold coins, 10 kilo or whatever. And the point I made to them, because they were saying, well, we can't sell that many and it's a real small market. And I told them that this was absolute nonsense, that the earned media they would get by making a $5,000 gold coin made out of a kilo of gold, or $500,000 gold coin made out of 10 kilos of gold, or whatever it would be millions of dollars of earned media to get people really interested in it. And I even pointed out, even when that Canadian $1 million gold maple leaf was stolen from the Berlin Museum and melted, that even bad things happening to coins still keep the coins in the public consciousness. So it's not a bad idea for the Mint to create these like preposterous things and put them out in the market so that people can like think about the Mint and coins and how coins are valuable and things like this. So these are the concepts, the ideas we were giving the Mint at this forum. Ultimately, it's up to their marketing people and the bureaucrats in the government and the Treasury Department to take these ideas, turn them into the Frankenstein's monster version that they'll probably end up being, and then hopefully some of them work out for the market and make the coin buying experience or the coin collecting experience for people who like modern coins a little bit more enjoyable. There's all sorts of things that, if I was had the latitude of making decisions at the Mint, that I think could be done to make those make that area of collecting more interesting. I mean, frankly, I would love to get do something with the proof coins so they don't all have deep cameo every year. I like matte proofs and Roman proofs and all sorts of different types of finishes, and I don't like the idea of double dipping on products over and over again and just adding a crazy finish here or there. I think you come up with a sort of a look for a year, and you put it out and you do the best you can, and you don't keep rehashing old ideas over and over again. So there's like I said, there's all sorts of things that can be done. The Mint also talked about the fact that the BEP has integrated or migrated a lot of their online shopping with the Mint, and that they're hoping in the future to do more things together. The Mint also made it clear that they were investigating whether or not they could do more multinational programs. If you remember, they had a Silver Eagle, and I think there was a Britannia program that came out a few years ago. In 2000, there was the Icelandic coin with Leif Erikson coin. I don't think it's a bad idea out of hand, but I think that ideas like that really require more than just repackaging things that two different countries make and selling it for a premium. I brought up the fact that at some of the major coin shows you have these coin passports. The Mint could sell those. Somebody in the audience suggested that maybe the Mint sell some legacy products. In 2021, it's going to be the 100th year anniversary of the last year of the Morgan dollar, first year of the peace dollar. The Mint is sort of looking at that. One idea they had is to make a gold version. You don't get me started on this kind of thing. I would rather them come up with something a little bit more interesting. I mean, why not come out with like a series of coins that have proposed designs for the peace dollar? Or I don't know what to say. I mean, really, the problem with these things is that the mint can't make silver coins. They can't make silver coins on their own volition. The Treasury or the Congress has to authorize them to do it. So the only latitude they have is with these more expensive metals. And once you do a gold dime, a gold quarter, gold half dollar, it's kind of ridiculous. And I think it shuts out a whole bunch of collectors who would be really passionate about these series because they're already collecting them. If you're collecting these silver series, there's a reason you're doing that. It's probably not because you can't, maybe you can't afford the gold coins, so you're buying silver coins, and then when the mint comes out with a tribute to it, but it's in gold, now it really creates a dilemma for a lot of people. So I would rather not have a gold Morgan dollar or gold peace dollar, but have something else. The mint can always open up their legacy vault with all the interesting things that they have, and then create a story to let you learn more about these coins than is like readily available. I would rather see them celebrate the 100th year anniversary by giving us something to see we've never seen before, than to try to capitalize on people's enthusiasm for these series by making these $1,000, $1,500 gold coins. So I'm going to have to cut it short tonight. I'll answer a couple questions, but I have to get back to working on this manuscript. I probably have about 30 hours of work to do on it before I can turn it in on Monday. So let me go through some of the questions here if I can answer anything. And then again, I appreciate I appreciate all of you guys for turning up, tuning in. Next week I'll be in Baltimore, but the week after that I'll be back. So in two more weeks I'll come back on my regular scheduled time, and I'll have more prepared for you, and it'll probably be our normal hour and 15-minute long stream. So let me go through this. Let's see if I have anything. Yes, Kellen, this was the third conference. Let's see. Can't tell you who from the ANA was there. Let's see. What denominations above $1 would you support and why? So I think the dollar coin has got too little value to be the main coin. I think that it's a change-making coin. I think I would, if you're going to go with the traditional American coins, I would go with either a $2 or a $2.50 coin, but probably $2 makes more sense because Euro countries do it and Canada does it. I think $2 coins as your main coin is probably a good denomination, because you go to a vending machine and buy a drink, you probably get one for $2 or less, or a little more than $2. I don't know about a 5. And the reason I don't know about a 5, although it absolutely makes sense in inflationary terms, I can't see the Federal Reserve Bank getting rid of $5 bills. I think that might be a bridge too far for them, but if we could get rid of the $1 and the $2 bill, except for maybe as a commemorative issue, they could still do $1 and $2 Federal Reserve notes and sell them through the BEP to collectors. But I don't think that there's as much utility in them anymore. And then you have a $1 or $2 coin, a 50-cent coin that's a different size, maybe it's a different color. You have the quarter and you have the dime and maybe the nickel, and I think that would be a good mixture. 1916 gold restrikes in 26 were only cool thing I've seen from the mint. Yeah, I wish I could agree with you, Shamir. I just think that if you're going to do the 2016 gold coins, they should be a 2016 D dime, don't you think? Told them this too, and they told me it'd be impossible logistically. Was there any mint sales spike after 2008? Don't know, but I imagine there might have been after the state quarters. So the thing about the state quarters is first two years. Go to your red book and look at the silver proof set sales numbers for 1999. They were a lot lower than you'd expect. In 2000 and 2001, they were bigger. Then, of course, 9/11 happened, And that really changed the nation's mood. I think the state quarter program stopped being one of the main kind of things you would hear every couple months on the news. It was more America was on this war footing, and people were scared, genuinely scared. I was in the Army at the time. I remember watching the news every day, like, oh my God, what happened today? Hopefully nothing bad. And this went on for at least a year or so. And I think what you saw after that is the state quarter program lost steam. Also, when you look at the designs, there was some controversy around the designs, like who was getting credit for it. There was just a lot of things that like the Mint had to like work through as far as how those programs worked. I think it was a good idea. I think the period of it was too long, and I think ultimately by the end it just limped along. Unfortunately, Congress never really understood this, and they just think that every year there needs to be another rotating reverse series. And the original legislation for the state quarter program called for the return of the heraldic eagle reverse, and I prefer that design, that quarter design, to the state quarters and the America the Beautiful quarters. And sad we won't see it again. And I don't mean the spaghetti hair version, I mean as originally designed. Another thing the Mint did to screw that up, the state quarter series, by the way, was a satin finish, and the Mint set's about halfway through. So if you're collecting business strikes, you have to go get bags and rolls for those. It took a while for the industry to catch on. There's a lot of like messed up coin holders, I think, with these certified coins saying that they're MS68s or 69s when they're specimens, and they don't look anything like circulation strike coins. Let's see. Fan of reverse proofs with low manages. Yeah, I guess. I mean, they are, they have their moments. Let's see what else we got here. Ever tell the Mint they should do a Lady Liberty series? Yeah, I basically said that over and over again at the forum. I said people want liberty on coins. Ask any coin collector, they want liberty. So, let's see. Ultra high relief. What coin would you suggest is worth starting collecting today, as if it was an Eisenhower peace dollar back then for the future? There is no magic coin series that you can collect in it, and that you're going to get for nothing, and it's going to be worth quite a bit more. In fact, actually, if you go to the Eisenhower dollar series, if you would have collected the blue packs and the brown pack Ike dollars, you wouldn't have made your money back, because adjusting for inflation, those coins are worth a considerable amount less than they were sold for, with the exception of the Proof 70s or the ultra high grade certified coins, which you were not guaranteed to get when you bought these originally. The Proofs probably were better than the blue packs, and maybe the 72 and the 74 blue packs were really nice, but the 71 blue packs are awful, and I've never liked the way 73 blue packs look. So I just think that you should collect the things that interest you, because if you look at coin collecting as a hobby where you get some enjoyment out of it, really doesn't matter what you collect as long as you enjoy it. The problem you get into is when you look at it as an investment, and you start investing in coins because you kind of have an emotional reaction to them, as opposed to looking at like the raw numbers. I had somebody at a coin club come to me, and they were showing me some of the things they bought, and they asked me what I thought of their collection. And listen, I never try to undermine people, their collection. And I understand that not everybody can collect the same thing. Not everybody has the time to dedicate it to it. But when I saw what he was doing, and I was trying to ask him, it's like, so what's your goal? I mean, do you really love these coins? You're really interested in them, or are you trying to invest? And he's like, well, I'm trying to invest in the coins. I want the coins that are going to return a profit for me. And I said, well, the first thing you need to do is sell everything you bought, because you've already lost the money. And if you're really going to invest in coins, these are the sort of the things you need to look at. And the guy's like, he didn't want to hear any of it, not because he had lost his money or he felt foolish. It's just because the things I was telling him to do were not interesting to him. And so the thing is that coins either interest you, and if that's the case, there's no wrong direction to take. I collect I collect things that like probably aren't worth what I pay for them, except I enjoy them, and hopefully, I do enough for that series that one day when it's time for me to give them up to the next person, there's somebody out there who like saw value in what I did, and then they'll say, "Yeah, I want to be the next person to own these coins and metals." And if that's the case, then that's what sort of perpetuates the hobby. There are series though I think are good, and if you ask my opinion, I think 20th century U.S. coins up to about the early 80s are going to be the primary focal area for American collectors for the next 20 or 30 years. I think that people are nostalgic by nature. They relate to things near or around the time that they were alive, or their parents were alive, or they have some idea. The world was essentially televised for the majority of the 20th century. That history is still very relevant to us, way more relevant than the Hard Times tokens or the Civil War or the Panic of 1893. So it would be Buffalo nickels, Mercury dimes, Franklin half dollars, anything in the 20th century, I think, is going to be the most popular coins that are collected in this country for the next generation or two. And then you have to look at the prices. We're in a period in the market where the prices for this material is actually still affordable, more affordable than it used to be. Even the conditional rarities have come down considerably from when they were at their peak. So to me, if you ask my honest opinion, I think 19th century coinage has probably got a more limited upward mobility, except for maybe the major rarities. But 20th century, in my opinion, is where it's at, and that's my reason why. Hope to see more art back in the coins from CJ Coins and Crafts. Totally agree with you. I was sitting next to somebody who works very closely with the Mint to try to pick good coin art. And we had quite a conversation, and they are trying very hard to get great designs through. But you know what? CCAC and CFA, they make recommendations. Treasury Secretary is not required to go along with the flow, and many times they select designs that don't get chosen in the end, and you can't blame them for recommending something and someone saying, no, I like this other thing more. It's sort of the way it is. But again, 2019 Mary Beadle quarters, probably the best ones they've ever had, and we'll just have to see if the American Innovator coins pan out. Personally, if you're doing American innovations, I'd like to see Roombas and Flobies on coins. Not likely that we'll get those, or VCRs, or compact discs, or Simon, electronic Simon, or whatever the kind of stuff that, if you're going to make something like that, make corny inventions and innovations. I think flying cars and the Jetsons. Netherlands Mint is doing some nice restrikes of their old silver and gold ducats. Yeah, Austrian Mint does some of these vintage coins too. Again, our problem is our mint is completely hamstrung because Congress only has the authority on what they make. I think the Congress should pass a commemorative coinage reform act, or Numismatic coinage reform act, that cedes this authority to the Treasury and to the Mint, so that the Mint's marketing people can come up with programs, take it to Treasury, and Treasury ultimately oversees it, so that they don't come up with something absolutely crazy that would be controversial. Let's see. Well, I don't really have much more time, folks, tonight, but American music would be nice. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. See, America exports its culture all around the world, and no matter where you go, whether it's like Russia, Japan, China, it doesn't matter where you're at. You can be in some of the most remote places in the world, and you will find people who are familiar, at least on a cursory level, with American culture. So I would much rather prefer to see our coins reflect our culture than like all these very idiosyncratic concepts, clubs, organizations, and things that have dominated our coins for so long. And also, I think I don't want to see, and again, I'm a military veteran. I don't want to see military coins in lieu of celebrations of some of the great things that ordinary and extraordinary Americans have achieved in the country outside of uniform service. The mint, for whatever reason, the last like decade or so has had quite a few military medals, coins, and things like that. And I would rather see more representative blend of topics being covered than just what we're dealing with now. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate it so much that you invest the time to hang out with me this Friday night. Thank you for enjoying coin collecting. Again, we'll have a podcast sometime next week with Daniel Frank Sedgwick, who stopped by. We were talking about some the coins of the Western Hemisphere. There's some really cool things coming up in their auction. I'm going to be in Baltimore filming a cool coin segment. I know everybody's waiting for that. I got a great segment on ingots with David McCarthy. Also, I'm going to have a new column from him. Believe it or not, the name of the column is Holy Shit, That's Rare. And the whole point of it is to show you the sort of what it's like to be behind the scenes as a major dealer dealing with stuff that nobody's ever seen, to do it in regular speak, to show you actually our experiences as we try to learn about things that we've never seen before. Believe it or not, that title is toned down from what we initially were thinking about calling it. It's not really clickbait, but if it gets people around the internet to read it because the title's a little bit bombastic, then that's great. It's great for the hobby to have people check us out. So I'm excited about David's first column. It's about one of the most famous gold rush era designs. He basically uncovers the true story behind it. It's not what people think. It's not what's been published in auction catalogs. It's really cool. Also, Lou Galino is going to have a piece about Libertad coinage. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff we have that's going to be coming out in the next month or so. So again, thank you very much for supporting us. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. All right. Bye-bye.